Well, you say that that is just another form of racism, and you even say it has a lot in common with white supremacy. How can you compare those two things?
Coleman Hughes. Coleman Hughes is, I would say, kind of an old school liberal thinker, happens to be black. He's been on this show before. I saw him at ARC in London. We've gotten into debates. We have some agreements and some disagreements. In any event, he was on The View, and they grilled him like they were going after somebody who just murdered a family. All five of them absolutely ganging up on him. They all went around with their pointed questions. And watch this, Joy, watch her read the question. And basically, as she's reading the question, admit she doesn't even know what she's saying, and yet he still does deal with it quite well.
I have a question, because you write that the anti-racism movement, there are a couple of people, I don't even know who they are, maybe
Robin DiAngelo.
Robin DiAngelo,
yeah.
Ibram Kendi, for instance.
Okay. Well, you say that that is just another form of racism, and you even say it has a lot in common with white supremacy. How can you compare those two things?
I compare them
anti-racism, you're comparing it to white supremacy.
Because they both view your race as an extremely significant part of who you are. So white supremacists, they obviously say, we all know what they say, okay? Neo-racists like Robin DiAngelo, they say that to be white is to be ignorant, for example. Well, this is a racial stereotype, and I want to call a spade and say this is not the style of anti-racism we have to be teaching our kids. We should be teaching them that your race is not a significant feature of who you are. Who you are is your character, your value, and your skin color doesn't say anything about that.
That's actually misrepresenting what Robin DiAngelo's position is.
It's in her book. I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star, and the point is not that we're ever going to get there, we're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards, and we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten in San Francisco.
He's just right, and he's good, and he's calm, and he's thoughtful, and he dealt with those harpies in just a perfect way. Now, again, I have some differences of opinion with him. I mentioned one as it relates to all these crazy rallies in Europe that we got into, and be happy to discuss that with him on the show. And also, like, you're going to end up, as far as I can tell, voting for the same people that ushered in all these policies. So that's not to say I agree with him on everything, but just dealing with them properly. And also that Joy, the way she reads it off a card, basically says, I don't know what I'm saying, but they handed me a card here. Can you explain this thing? And then, of course, we know that the idea of white supremacy, your race is above everybody else, is the exact same thing. It's just the mirror image of the neo-racism that the woke people have tried to usher in.